I used to believe that in order to change my life, I needed a big explosion, a shocking event, or some dazzling miracle. But I had to slap myself awake when I realized it was hidden in just 15 simple habits. Things that seem small and boring, yet carry the power to destroy the outdated version of me and give birth to someone new. Real change is not loud. It happens in silence, slowly, like a river carving through a canyon over thousands of years. And this is my confession about that painful yet glorious transformation. Dim the lights, sit down, and let me tell you how I turned myself into an experiment, a lab rat with a vision board trying to find a way out of the mediocrity that was suffocating my soul. Chapter 1. Awakening in Silence. Everything began the moment I opened my eyes. I used to wake up at 9 a.m., already feeling like I had lost before the day even started. I would roll out of bed overwhelmed, reacting to the world instead of creating it. Then I tried something different, waking up before the world. Not to torture myself with a 5-mile run at 5 a.m., but to search for stillness. When the air hadn't yet been polluted by traffic noise or phone notifications, I owned a blank whiteboard of time. That quiet wasn't just space, it was a sedative for my overstimulated nervous system. In those first few moments, I performed the smallest yet most symbolic action, making my bed. I used to think that was something only idle people did. But as I pulled the sheets tight and arranged the pillows, a micro shift happened inside my brain. I had completed my first task of the day. Within 5 minutes of waking up, I had proven to myself that I could finish something. It was a micro win. When you make your bed, you're not just cleaning a space, you're establishing control. And when you come home exhausted after a long day, that tidy bed whispers a quiet comfort. Today, you lived responsibly. But after 8 hours of lying still, my body felt like a dry sponge. Our brains run on electricity, and water is the conductor. I used to feel tired and sluggish without knowing why. It turned out I was just a dehydrated plant. The next habit was drinking water like it was a superpower. 20 ounces, about 600 milliliters right after waking up. Not coffee, not sugar, just water. It felt like a current running through me, waking up every cell and washing away the heaviness of sleep. The brain fog disappeared. It was the cheapest yet most effective software update I had ever installed in my body. And before letting the digital world crash in, I reached for an anchor, reading the Bible and praying. You can call it meditation or spiritual reading, but for me, it was 10 minutes to shape my soul. Life, by its ruthless nature, will punch you in the face. The question is, what anchor have you dropped into your soul before that punch lands? Those ancient words and whispered prayers in the early morning were that anchor for me. They gave me peace and direction, something no TikTok video could ever provide. If you've listened this far, guess how many of the 15 habits I've already revealed in Chapter 1? Drop the number in the comments below. Chapter 2. The War Against Dopamine and Distraction. I stepped outside. I walked without my phone. It was probably the strangest challenge of all. No music, no podcasts, no other voices inside my head. Just me, nature, and maybe a squirrel staring at me. At first, my brain panicked. It itched. It screamed for dopamine. It wanted to check if anyone had texted me. Those were digital withdrawal symptoms. Then, boredom arrived. And in that boredom, something magical happened. My best ideas, the emotional knots untied, didn't happen while I was glued to a screen. They came 15 minutes after I let my mind wander with my footsteps. I realized I didn't need more information. I needed space to process what I already had. When I returned to my desk, I applied a deep work hour. I used to spend 5 hours pretending to work, multitasking and scrolling. But now, I had one sacred hour. For 60 minutes, all distractions were illegal. I worked as if my soul were racing against death, as if a gun were pressed to my temple, forcing me to focus. And the crazy thing was, In that 1 hour, I completed what used to take an entire distracted afternoon. It wasn't about working harder, it was about working with full presence and respecting my own time. To nourish my mind, I read 10 pages a day, not scrolling tweets, not skimming headlines, a physical book. At first it felt strange, just 10 pages. But then I noticed I began thinking like someone with a long-term memory. Instead of reacting like a squirrel on espresso to every notification, I learned to pause and think. A good chapter can rewire your neurons better than hours of motivational videos. 10 pages a day adds up to 12 books a year. That's an unofficial degree in escaping mediocrity, a detox from cheap dopamine addiction. And to clear the mental garbage, I turned to journaling. Some days the page was therapy, other days it was a messy pile of complaints, but it worked. Writing wasn't about creating literature. It was about dumping everything in my head onto paper. I started the page confused and tense, and ended it lighter. The blank page doesn't judge. It gave me space to face the raw truths I usually avoided with snacks or distractions. It helped me filter out the one valuable thought worth keeping from the mud of anxiety. My friend, if you've listened this far, I know we once shared the same outdated mindset. If you're also changing, leave a like so I can walk this journey with you. Chapter 3. Resetting the body's hardware. The body is a temple, and I had let mine fall into ruin. The next habit was a conversation with gravity, lifting heavy weights. I'm not a professional gym rat. I don't scream between sets. But there's something primal, almost therapeutic about walking into a gym and choosing to lift something heavy. It's a battle between willpower and physics. At first, I trained to impress the ghosts of my high school insecurities. But after a few weeks, it wasn't about appearance anymore. It was about focus. Lifting taught me how to stay present when my body wanted to quit, how to push through discomfort. It was a lesson in mental endurance written in sweat and calluses. And the fuel for this machine? Whole foods. When I ate junk, I felt like junk. It was that simple. Processed foods filled with chemicals and sugar didn't nourish me, they stole my energy. When I switched to real food, vegetables, clean protein, nutrient-dense meals, not only did my body change, but my mind became sharper. I stopped seeing food as a reward or a punishment. I saw it as strategy. Clean nutrition gives the right information to your cells. It helped me make better decisions and stop negotiating with myself at the fridge at midnight. Chapter 4. Building a new identity. Changing my actions wasn't enough. I had to change my environment. Clean space. Clean mind. Your environment is the second loudest voice in your life, right after the voice inside your own head. A messy room creates a messy brain. You can meditate all you want, but if you're sitting between piles of dirty laundry and unpaid bills, peace won't stay long. Cleaning isn't a chore, it's mental salvation. When I controlled my space, I calmed my mind. That's pure psychology. On this journey, I learned a survival skill: how to say no. I used to be a full-time people pleaser. I said yes out of guilt, out of fear, out of the need to be liked. But the price was my own energy, slowly draining away. When I started saying no, it wasn't because I was rude. It was because I realized my peace is expensive. Not everyone deserves your agreement. The people who respect your no are the only ones who deserve your yes. And more importantly, I changed the way I spoke to myself. I began speaking with respect. I used to be my own prison guard. You're lazy. You failed again. That voice was poison. So I changed it. I started talking to myself like a coach, encouraging his athlete. Every word was meant to build, not destroy. You become what you repeatedly tell yourself. Speak with respect and watch self-esteem rise. from the ashes of insecurity. Chapter 5. The Final Truth. Everything leads to one core habit: keeping a promise to yourself. This is the foundation of self-respect. You don't need to promise to change the world. Just something small. No Instagram before 10 a.m. Finish this bottle of water. Every time you keep a promise, you tell your brain, I am reliable. Every time you break it, your brain records you as a liar. When you keep even the smallest promise, you build an inner gravity, a force that pulls you toward your best self. And then, the most painful truth of all: no one is coming to save you. That realization hit me like a freight train. There is no perfect mentor, no wealthy friend, no miracle falling from the sky. There is only you. You are the hero and the rescue team. The moment I stopped outsourcing my breakthrough, real transformation began. I was no longer a victim of circumstances. I became the one, holding the pen to my own story. These 15 habits, they aren't glamorous. They're boring, repetitive, unnoticed. No one applauds you for drinking water. No one cheers when you make your bed. But that boredom is the filter. Amateurs chase excitement. Professionals chase consistency. Your life doesn't change overnight. It changes after hundreds of mornings, choosing water over scrolling. It changes after thousands of decisions to lift instead of lie down. It changes when you stack these small, silent actions until they become a fortress, protecting you from mediocrity. My friend, if you've made it this far, subscribe and let me walk beside you on the next stage of this journey. Start your era of boredom today. Don't wait for inspiration. Don't wait for the perfect day. Fold the blanket. Drink the water. Step outside. You are not broken. You're just out of rhythm. And these 15 habits are the music that will help you find it again. Move forward. Your legacy begins with the smallest, quietest, most boring actions of all.